Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. It is with a lot of excitement that I bring in the GM of Ohsweken Speedway, who must have had probably the best, I don't know, maybe the best week of his time there. Clinton, Geoffrey is here. Clinton, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. I'm sorry I couldn't get here prior to the event, but well, I have a lot of mixed feelings on it. Leading into it, it was stressful. As Adam would say, it's pretty ironic you wait 2 years for this event. You can't wait for it to be over. There was a lot of stress that was with it, but I think that's just because, our whole team wants to make sure everybody's knows how cool Ohsweken is and make sure everybody had a great time. The other thing is we understood the magnitude of the audience. We were bringing in a lot of new people. We're going to be coming over to check the situation out. So we want to make sure we really put our best foot forward and, really try to go the extra mile. And if you, I think you said it, roll out the red carpet for NASCAR as much as we could.
Yeah, it was evident, I think, from that the amount of work that Glenn put into and Glenn and yourself, really, it's been a whole team of people that have put a ton of work into the facility. And to quote the Bun Sons, it was amazing, was the words that they chose for it. And for myself, for watching dirt racing, we've talked about this. I'm still a dirt novice, but I was thoroughly entertained throughout the entire night, not just from the NASCAR Pinty series, but from the entire night. In fact, that second race, the second sprint car race with Cola Giovanni and Friesen on night 2 for the 360s, I wanted another 10 laps. And I've never said that about a dirt race before, but it opened my eyes. And I think, what was this something that you guys were thinking about when initially coming up with the idea?
Well, no.
Really?
But as it got down to it, so much has changed since the pandemic. Like, all this started back before the pandemic. And, so when this became, we can back this right up. But to answer your question quickly, the sprint cars really came down to knowing we needed to provide a good track. The best track and the flattest, widest, smoothest tracks we ever see are the nights when we have 50 sprint cars out there. We wheel pack. So instead of our equipment finishing those last few laps before our laps, we make every team. And if you're new to dirt, sprint cars don't have starters. So unlike a late model at Sunset or wherever, they can just start it up in their pit stall and warm it up and check the fluids and make sure everything comes up to temperature, doesn't overheat. In a sprint car, we have to do what's called heating the motors. So we have to push every car off once, then they roll back to their pit stall and the mechanics can check over the engine, make sure the tuning's right, make sure the timing's right. Well, on these nights, we make them do that by going out on the track. So we push them off for their heat in the motors, but how they warm up the cars by pacing around for 3 laps. And the sprint car tires, wide and flat as they are, they help pack the track. And we knew by putting the sprint cars out with the NASCAR Pinty series that the track was going to be wide, fast, polished, smooth. Now, people will argue that it was slow. Yes, but let's look at what we're talking about. I mean, I just watched your Power Hour show, so yep. I kind of have some firepower coming into it. But I think, people are saying the cars are slow. Well, of course, let's take the sprint cars and put them at CTMP. Do you think they're going to turn the same laps as the as the Canadian Touring Championship cars do? No, there's no way. Mm-hmm. They're not made for that. Just like these cars aren't made for it. So yes, they're slow. And I'll tell you, Cam, I saw these cars on at practice originally in 2019. So the idea came about around the time Pinty's was talking with Tony when he was still with Pinty's and Jen Booth about re-upping the deal. And Tony said, you want to push this forward? We need a dirt race. And he was a big striving force at it when he was with Pinty's. Called Glenn and I. We made a deal. We went to Burlington, and it was pretty exciting for me. I mean, I'm an announcer kid who became manager. And I assume we got time, right? I can ramble on for a bit.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
So, for me to go to Burlington and have executives from Daytona fly in from Daytona, Charlotte, from all over to meet with me, and Glenn bails off to Hawaii because you handle it. So there I am with Tony and all these executives who came in, and it was cool. And, first off, they talked about a Saturday, and we can talk about what we do a Monday, Tuesday. because there's no race pressure. So, they were saying we could come out of this and we could come out of Pocono and could be live and we could do this. But really, a Monday, Tuesday has always made sense for us midweek because we've had the World of Outlaws on a Friday, Saturday, and a Friday, Saturday would be awesome for Ohsweken. You could maybe see us go to a Thursday, Friday down the line. But I think a midweek show helps us because look at how many tracks race on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
So Sunset, Brighton, Merrittville, Varney. I mean, the list goes on and on. Peterborough, Flamborough, all those guys and girls who would want to come to our race and be a part of this great party in this major event we're having are immediately crossed off the list because they have to be in the points that they're thing. And even if that points only pays $100 to be the mini stock championship, they're not going to give that up. They're so addicted to that little trophy. So they're not going to do it. Midweek show, we can get everybody coming. I think 3 fields of fans, packed house. We shown that we could do a midweek show. We've been doing it for 15 years. And that was the biggest thing we had to talk to the NASCAR executives. So they bought into the theory right away with Tony backing us up and saying, look, these guys know what they're doing. Monday, Tuesday is not out of the question. Then it came down to a test. We had to run a test to even see if these cars could even get around Ohsweken Speedway. So in October, we were pushing hard because the season was going to end and it was going to snow. And we're like, we need to know if we can do this. So Kennington brought out his team. And back then it was him and Ranger, and David White was setting up the cars. So kind of a dream team there. And Tony Glover flew in from Charlotte. And
wow.
So we had all these big executives and we're standing there in a cold October day and the cars looked great. And that's all we saw. Then the pandemic hit. We've been promoting this event. So we get to our practice there. Dave Bailey came out on go-kart night a few weeks ago and it didn't really get into gear. It didn't really get up to speed or temp. And then the rain came. So we didn't get to see that. Then we had our practice on the Tuesday before. The cars looked all right. But then Jake Hooker went down the backstretch in the number 3 car. And that's kind of when it lit up to me. I heard it go by and I ran up to the fence and I was like, okay, we have a race now. These cars are going to be really good. And then we had practice on the Monday. They looked all right. Nobody embarrassed themselves. And that was the other thing because we have had pavement cars come Ohsweken before and they've just they were embarrassing. They spun out. Everybody had trouble. But I just kept telling myself, we look at all the NASCAR major series and none of them had embarrassing races. Like all the NASCAR guys kind of figured it out even when they went to dirt. So we just kind of kept keeping that in the back of my head. And then the heats looked all right. I was like, okay, they're all right. But man, when that feature kicked off, I think the first restart, I watched it. I mean, it's been on every day this week, less TSN.
Yes.
Great for us. And Joel and the crew did an amazing job. I mean, I'm not just saying that because I got to host it. I got thrown in the last minute. So I don't feel it's my best performance, but it was neat to be able to do it. But I think, wow, did the Fuel Media crew ever make Ohsweken look great at night with the fireworks and the whole situation? I mean, on TV, we couldn't have shone any better, I don't think, and super proud of that. But the races, oh my goodness, when they got 3-4 wide, I remember Tony Spiteri had a bunch of guests there, and we were on the VIP terrace at the back stretch of Ohsweken. I walked over to Tony. I said, "Listen, you got to fix this, man. This is a big problem. They're only 4 wide out there, Tony.
Yeah.
This is terrible racing. What are we doing?" And we laughed about it because it was a bit of success for us on the spot to realize, okay, no matter what happens from here on out. I mean, and then I thought the format was great. I'm still a big fan of the brakes. I know some people are saying it should have been a straight 100, but I still think the brakes helped some people. I think it brought a bit of strategy and will continue as the race goes on in the future of it. I thought the 100-lap distance and the yellows being counted was a great format.
Yes.
It brought excitement. Yeah. Let's look at some of the stats from the event. 24 cars started. That's a full field on dirt, which a lot of people said would never happen. So that's one big thing we're having for the biggest paying event ever, 25,000 to Trayton, which we're super proud of. 23 of 24 cars finished on the lead lap. The only one didn't crashed out, which was JP Bergeron. So
yeah,
when has that ever happened in a NASCAR race anywhere?
Hardly
never mind
ever.
The Pinty series.
Yeah.
Not one car other than JP left with any kind of significant damage other than a body rub here or a dent from like the Steckley cars were a bit beat up at the end between Stewart and Trayton. But I mean,
yeah,
boo-hoo, you can dry your tears with your $25,000,
yeah.
Like, I mean, and I'm only saying that, Scott, because we had a good laugh the other day about it, so, yeah, some body panel damage, but still a great show. I thought that Stewart and Trayton put on a great race event. You know, as a promoter, you can't help for the big star to come in, run the young kid hard, not wreck his season, not wreck both cars, rough each other up, skidding across the line for the finish. I mean, all those storylines were fantastic. Stewart did his job in a great way in that respect. How about what it shows for this series that we bring in arguably Canada's best, most professional dirt and successful dirt racer, I would go to say ever.
Mm-hmm.
Bring him in, and our guys are hustling with him all night long, slicing and dicing. He didn't run away and hide. He didn't dominate. He was a third, fourth place car most of the night till it counted.
Yep.
So that shows our guys are just as strong and as good as these guys. You know, all those things were amazing positives. You know, let's look at the track now. So we knew the track was going to get the high shine, which we call it, and I love it on TV. It looks so cool.
Yeah.
You look at the undercarriage bumper cameras on Joel's production there on TSN, and it's flat. It looks like a skating rink. In both ways. Now, could we tack it up more? Yes. Could we chunk it up more? Yes, because it's the toss up you get. If you want more bite, you're going to have, like you said, you're going to have a lot more mud slinging around.
Yeah.
You're going to be overheating these cars. We're going to have windshield problems. We're going to have all kinds of other issues that come with that track. But Daytona is calling us in the middle of the race and saying, what did you do to the track? There is zero dust. There wasn't 1 ounce of dust in that race.
No.
Yes, the cars are slow, but like I said, if we took the sprint cars to CTMP, they're going to be slow. They're not made for that. It's the whole point of it. Let's look at, speeds and how the track was. Well, because the cars aren't dug in or stuck to the track with traction, when they get together, they're like bumper cars at the county fair. They just bounce off each other.
Yes.
So nobody's sustaining major damage. Nobody's, getting
you didn't write off any cars.
No.
You didn't write off any cars.
And I thought the other thing that they did a great job was letting them race.
Yes.
NASCAR race control didn't throw a yellow every time somebody had one. They let them grab a gear and get going, even if it's half a lap. And I thought the drivers did a fabulous job of keeping the show moving. And that's a classic thing that Doug Leonard, our race director, has always done, is like, you can't stop for an intentional yellow at Ohsweken. If it's your bad day and you're having a crappy night, and you pull over and stop for a yellow and then drive away, you're parked anyway. So you might as well just go in the pits and try and, or hang in, whatever the deal is. But I thought NASCAR and the guys did an amazing job of that. So there were so many positives to that. So to people who say the track could be tackier, they could be faster. Yeah, there was a lot of people pointing to the tire too. We had a super hard tire on that surface. If we had our street stock tire, we could have had a better situation. But at the end of the day, these tires aren't going to wear out. Nobody had a tire issue.
No.
I mean, look at I was looking at your rundown earlier during the power hour, and when you look at the finish, I look at a race and I look at what I call the pecking order, or what's on paper, right? So when you look at the finishing order on paper, it's the right order. The same guys. Cameron dominated this race, just like he's done the start of every other race we've been to this year. So, you still had the same people. Trayton at the end coming out to win these races. Like, the same guys and teams were still there at the end. And I think, if anything, the dirt proved it wasn't a big season spoiler. It wasn't a big problem for teams. It didn't wreck their year. It didn't destroy a car that they didn't want to bring out.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been floating since last week. I don't know what we could do better. And like I say to these people, if you don't like that race because of speed, well, I don't know what to tell you. We never proclaimed they were going to be the fastest thing on earth.
Well, you can't. And that's the thing is, I think what I'm trying to be is, okay, you can't expect sprint car speed from a car that's so much heavier. That's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They're not going to be able to do 200 miles an hour on a dirt track. That's not happening. So you can forget that. I literally, there was somebody that had posted this, and I had to put it out of my mind, because the comments that I wanted to make to it were just kind of probably not proper, but complaining that wasn't side by side enough. I was like, it's side by side to the finish for not just first and second, but for third and fourth as well. And then there's a picture that Derek Smith took. Maybe it was Tim Gerald. I think it was one of those two. Maybe it was multiple, where there's 5 cars in a row, and you're telling me that it wasn't usable. It wasn't a side-by-side race. Well, it blew my thoughts out of the water. I honestly thought it was going to be, I was so worried it was going to be Knoxville for trucks when they just went into turn 1. They all wadded them up and they all wrecked. I was so scared that that's what it was going to be. And I was so impressed. And I'm not just saying that because you're on the podcast. I was legitimately like, oh my God, that was so much fun. I really wish I was there. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what the whole goal of putting races on TV is to get fans that go, I want to go there and I want to go see that myself. And I think that it was achieved.
Yeah, there was more stuff going on that we didn't really get to see. I mean, we had a concert stage in the pit area.
Yeah.
To try and really set the atmosphere. And we learned things there, we partied a bit too late on Monday and the police came and told us we had to turn it off. So, hey, that's kind of the way we do it Ohsweken. We go hard, but we have a good time. So we learn it. So Tuesday morning, I adjusted the schedule. We only had the bands play till midnight instead of 2:30, and we respect the neighbors and we'll work it out. But there's so many other things that were going on, like the fireworks that I don't think really got shown very much. I know they didn't get shown a lot on the TV stuff, but to have Derek Miller play while the drivers got strapped in was super cool with the fireworks going off over top.
Yeah,
that was really neat. And I just think the big thing we've been doing with all the stuff we've been touching from G4 since the pandemic started has been this cross-pollination kind of keyword of, I'll be the biggest snob. I'll admit I was one of the biggest snobs on the dirt side. I mean, I worked Friday Ohsweken, Saturday Maryville, Sunday Humberstone for 15 or more years. So I never got to go to a pavement race for damn near 20 years. So it was for getting there, and dirt wasn't for growing potatoes my way. And then I left Maryville and went to work for Flamborough for a season, and I really learned that, okay, this is cool. And then I think when the APC had our G-Force crew come out, and we started that 3 seasons ago, we really got an appreciation of how good these guys are and how amazing this racing was. And, 25, 24 cars. And I mean, that's the big thing where I come from with dirt is we've seen but always have strong car counts. So when you go to a place and we got 7, 8 cars, we're like, what is this all about? It's really hard to grab us and impress us. And I think that's the thing that Ontario suffers with. There seems to be too many divisions on the pavement, and it's splintered off these guys too much. And when you look back to the heyday of the racing in the 60s and 70s, there were 3 classes. There was mini stock, late model, and modified. And you picked one of them, and there were 70 guys in each class because that's all you had at every speedway. Well, and each speedway starts their own little sub rules of 4 cylinders, this and that. And, I think on the dirt, we've done a great job of bringing everybody back together with the Ontario Dirt Competition Committee. So all 4 dirt tracks are on the same mini stock and thunder stock rules. And it's helped grow the sport quite a bit, I think. But, for the cross-pollination thing, we knew we were going to have a lot of new dirt fans or asphalt fans to the dirt for the first time. I think, like I said in my Facebook post last Friday, out of all the stress I had, I knew our sprint car teams were going to put on an awesome show and dazzle people. Yeah. I mean, if you're any kind of fan, whether it's in the vintage cars or motorcycles or, restoring bodies on classic cars, and you come to Ohsweken Speedway and you see our sprint cars fly down Speedway. I mean, my buddy Dave had a radar gun there, and he caught them doing 179 kilometers an hour at the end of the straightaway at Ohsweken. So I explained that to like my uncles and these guys I talked to. Just imagine that going down the QEW, because I drive it every day. For one, going 175, you are flying down the QEW. Oh yeah. And I mean, I'm a good $1.35 every day in rush hour trying to keep up from Niagara to Hamilton. But I can tell you, 40 more clicks and you're cooking. Like that's sailing past me.
Yeah.
Now we're 3 wide on dirt, and we're gonna drift together through the corner and come out the other side at about 135 and get back up to 180 by the time we get. It's just insane when you think about it and when you see it 10 feet from the fence, or when they crash and flip right in front of you and the guy gets out and says, wow, that's better than a ride at Cannes Wonderland. It's an experience. So I knew we were going to be all right there.
Yeah, that's it, man. Like that's the thing is I will be honest. I that always kind of deterred me from watching dirt racing, because I was always so on my edge going, oh my God, when are they going to wreck? Because I don't want to, because I know, I mean, there's been some really bad ones. Like Parker Price Miller just had a bad one, right? And
Yeah.
there's injuries and stuff, but I thought for the longest time that the craziest drivers were stock car drivers. No. Sprint car drivers are some of the craziest, because some of the stuff that they do, they don't care that there's somebody right behind them. They'll slide right up in front. No problem at all. That move that Friesen was going to make on Cola Giovanni, and they didn't back out. I was like, holy shit. Like, watch where you're going, right? But that's what they're like. Like, that's what you do. And I'm like, that's how you hook people, was with that race right there. It wasn't maybe the other races, but that right there, I was like, holy crap, man. Like, that was so much fun. So it's doing that type of thing. And then what did we see in the NASCAR Pinty Series community Facebook group? We had 30, 40 new people coming in. When did you find the NASCAR Pinty Series? At Ohsweken on dirt. Who's your favorite driver? Glenn Stiers, Dave Bailey. So it did exactly what we were talking about, that cross-pollination. And that's so healthy for motorsports, because you can do exactly that. I didn't know who Dave Bailey was last year.
Yeah.
Now I look forward to him every time you guys are on G-Force. You know, that's how like, it's exactly what racing needs.
You know, I think you're hitting the nail right on the head. And the way it shifts too. So a lot of people discovered Ohsweken in the sprints, but I think a lot of the snobby dirt folks took a better look at the NASCAR Pinty Series. Now, had we rolled in with 16, 17 cars, they would have been snickering and saying, look at that. But on the dirt world, we brought 24, which is a full field. So there's nothing to be said about that. The quality of drivers we brought in, I mean, you hit the nail on the head earlier in your other talk. Yeah, I mean, they're all there. And did we even need to bring in the stars? Not really, because I think the race was going to be good. But the point I'm trying to make here is, I think a lot of the snobby dirt people, or the folks who didn't give the NASCAR Pinty Series the look at it, realize, holy cow, these guys are good. They can run with the likes of Friesen on dirt. They're 3 and 4 wide. And maybe, obviously, that was just a track. We don't see that a lot of places, right? But the fact that it was going on and they were holding their own and there was racing all through the field. I mean, wow, it was crazy. And that 5 wide shot you mentioned a few minutes ago, I was actually looking at that and I was like, wait, what? I had to look it up. And I was thinking, was that during the 4 wide salute we did before the races? But that was only 4 and they were 5. And no, this was during racing.
That was on on one of the restarts.
Yeah. And so it was so good, you know, and I just think, so what was the track too slick? No, I thought the track prep was everything I could have ever hoped for. We put the sprint cars out there for that reason, to buff it, make it wide, to take the cushion down. If we didn't, like we said, we would have been throwing mud on everything. We would have been breaking beads off the tires. You would have guys having flat tires with a big heavy cushion. Yeah. I have no complaints. And it, you know, I can tell you, as long as I'm managing, that's what I'm going to try and give you every time. So if you didn't like that, you know, I don't want to say don't watch, because we want you to watch, but
that's true.
I don't know what to tell you, because we're going to shoot for that same target again next year.
Now, do you feel that the 24 Pinty's cars, that's the size of field that you want to aim for? I know we had talked 30 in the past, and then we do heat races for people to get in, and adds a little bit more to the heat races. But I felt like that 24 was a solid amount of cars, and it seemed like the perfect amount for the track.
Well, we start 28 mini stocks and thunder stocks every week at Ohsweken. I think we could go up to 30 to 32. We've done that in the past. So I don't want to say where you would take all comers, but I can't see us sending a 27th car home. And we did have that discussion previously. You know, if the proper field shows up, I don't see us having a consolation race to send one guy home. It doesn't make any sense at all. We'd already talked about contingency plans on how we would cover that. Basically, the track would pay the last spot. We'd cover last place. Would it be like, I don't know, what are the amounts? A couple grand. And just to get that last car in. And we would typically do that with other sprint car deals. Like if we have 20, if we're starting 20 26 cars show up, and we're only starting 24, we'll try and get those 2 guys in if we can. Typically, we have like a plus 2 or 3, like a rule, like Doug Leonard and I on the dirt side.
Yeah.
So if we have a 24 car, this isn't the Pinties, just talking with sprint cars. Typically, if we were going to start 24 cars and 27 showed up, typically what I'll say to Doug is, let's see if they all make it through the qualifying. Because typically one of them is going to crash out and we'll be able to start all 25 or 6 of them. If 27 are still ready to go, we're going to have a B main, and unfortunately, 3 of them are going home. If we only have 26 left, we'll start the last 2 and just get it on. So it's kind of a judgment call.
Now, one of the things that I absolutely love is that we had Glenn Stiers in this race, but we got Dave Bailey, you got Aaron Turkey out there, Trevor Monahan. I'm curious because you've got a lot of great dirt racers that run out of Ohsweken Speedway. If there's somebody that you'd think that if there's a NASCAR Pinty Series team owner that's looking to put a dirt guy from Ohsweken in a car for next year, who it would be? Because I know the Turners, there would be probably one of my picks. Nick Sheridan would obviously be a good pick as well. I always believe in DJ Christie. I met him at Motor M. I think he's awesome. So who would be on your list?
Well, first thing, let's back it up a bit. NASCAR and their Drive for Diversity program. Mm-hmm. What is more impressive and what checks more boxes than have Aaron Turkey win the hot lap dash?
Oh, so cool.
Aaron from Six Nations.
Yeah.
Indigenous kid, grew up playing with Hot Wheels in the stands at Ohsweken Speedway. Cut all his teeth racing there. For him to go out and win that at the first NASCAR Pinty's kind of checkered flag event, even though it wasn't really a race, it was just a way for us to encourage them to practice in the middle of our big show. And that was big. So that's there. I mean, you got all those guys. Off the top of my head, Mac DeMann had talked about getting a ride before, and Mac's driven all kinds of types of cars on pavement and asphalt. And I think he's the guy who could figure that out. And the way the race panned out in the High Line, he could probably be one of the guys who gets it done up there. I also think from our neck of the woods too, you mentioned Nick Sheridan. Nick is a candidate because he knows those cars. He's crew chief for his brother Jake on the pavement. He would know, not only is a great sprint car pilot, but I think he would know what type of adjustments to make to get the car to a good spot. So I think Nick may have his day there. Outside of Ohsweken, there's still, we have 150 teams, so I could go on and on about the drivers and the talent base of where they've come from. But I think, outside, there's a lot of other racers around who had thought about getting a ride for this event, who thought it wasn't worth the investment, maybe it wasn't worth being part of the show, that I think are going to take another look at it. And for my dirt fans, I equate it to when Oswego took on Super Dirt Week. A lot of us thought the first year, well, it's not the same. Let's see what it's going to be like. And then now it's grown into a massive event because everybody saw that, holy crap, this is awesome. And I think that's the kind of thing we're going to have here at Ohsweken next year. Is a lot of people are going to realize, okay, like we saw what it was. And a lot of these guys realized the slick track. And I think a lot of guys feel like, hey, I could do that. Like I look at a guy like the late models who are coming into Ohsweken this Friday. Charlie Sandercock, and one guy's story who we should probably tell is Jake Hooker, because, Jake looked amazing in the deal. When we heard there was going to be travel issues with Christopher Bell, like these are things I'm dealing with on race day too. We broke that whole deal. So now I have to sit down with David White and Mark Dilley and figure out what are we going to do with this car?
Yeah.
Who's going to drive it? How's our agreement going to continue on? What are we going to do? And I said, we'll get behind Jake Hooker. If you guys are behind that, and we all agreed to Jake Hooker. This is inside business. Nobody probably knows this, but we started making calls to Jake Hooker, and then we started making calls to Daytona and to figure out, can we get Jake Hooker approved? And then basically came back, and even all the NASCAR people we had on the ground, nobody could get that done in less than 48 hours, which was going to prevent Jake Hooker from getting his medical and all that done, because by the time he could get an appointment, get it done, there just wasn't time to get it all approved and get it back in time. So he passed all the qualifications, the medical stuff we couldn't get cleared. And this is all like 1-2 o'clock Monday afternoon, and it would all have to be done by 2 o'clock the next afternoon. So we really had less than 24 hours. So then I unfortunately had to call Jake Hooker back and tell him, hey, man, it's not going to work. And which was heartbreaking for me because he was so pumped he was going to get it. We were excited to have him in the deal. Then, then Jake Sheridan showed up on the scene. And Jake said, hey, I have my stuff. I'm licensed. Can we make it work? So then we started a negotiation to get that done. And wow, did Jake ever come through for us? I think the world of the Sheridans. They're all great people. The parents have brought those kids up amazing with great work ethic. They're both talented as hell. And I think their names you're going to hear about for years to come in this industry. Yeah. They're not just helmet baggers. They really get it done. And so proud of Jake to be able to go out there and run top 3. That was awesome. But
yeah, I mean, it bodes well because the guys that did that last year, one of those guys like Brandon Watson got in the 64 car, got a top 3 finish at Delaware and got himself a full-time ride. So I hope that we do get to see him because we don't get typically to see that. You don't get to see drivers that get a top 3 in their first race.
You look at Tony Spiteri coming in as NASCAR GM now. Tony wants a system where it's a ladder system where these guys have an opportunity to move up. He's been saying this for years.
I agree with him 100%.
So you look at, on the G-Force side, we're very fortunate, and this is where we've seen this come together. Mm-hmm. Kids like, and I call them kids because I'm almost 50, but like Lane Zardo and Garrett Temersma,
those guys.
These guys who get the media side, who are really coming up and coming superstars, who deserve a chance at the next level in the APC series. And then you look at how talented the APC guys are because Trayton and Brandon come right out of that, go right to the NASCAR Pinty series and don't look out of place at all. Solid top 5 to 10 cars since they've been in it.
Yeah.
Brandon Watson's got a handful of wins coming. I don't know how many races this year on the tour, Adam, and I picked him to be today could be his day.
Yeah.
So Brandon Watson is like, we've seen him whip ass for 10 years around here. So his day's coming with this team. But to see those guys be the top APC guys to move up, and now Jake to get the next kind of guy in that lineage to move up or get a shot at least and show he can do it, open up some doors for him. That's great. And then I just think that's the cycle. And when you look on the dirt side, same type of thing, trying to build up, stuff over there with the crates. They've moved up. I mean, and Ontario Motorsports around here is in a good spot right now for the ones who kind of get the new mentality and who are ready to take that step and embrace the newness are going to make it.
We're seeing it with the Ontario Sportsman Series, a series that I it's near and dear to my heart that I work in. And I've said it again, you got the cars that are very similar to the Pinty's cars, and getting an opportunity for them to be kind of part of that ladder system is exactly what you're talking about. There's ways that it can be done because you look at the IndyCar model and how many of their top stars came through the ladder system that they created 15 years ago. It does work. It's just, like you said, trying to get everybody to kind of all feed into that is probably going to be the most difficult thing about it. But you've got 2 more years right now that you guys are still on the Pinty Series schedule, Clinton. Is there a way that you can go even bigger next year?
I think we can definitely improve some of the aspects of it. Where to start? I think as Dave Lloyd from Quick we talk in terms of inside the ropes and outside the ropes in a boxing sense that, we run a great program inside the ropes, but I'll be the first one to say Ohsweken still needs a little bit of help with the executive side of what happens outside the ropes, our VIP experience, our food service, our entertainment. So we're always trying to tweak those things. So I think though inside the ropes, the track conditions, the race product itself, the way the speedway looked, I mean, the ablaze lighting on the fence posts, all glowing green. I mean, all that stuff looked badass on TV. So
yeah, that was cool.
The fireworks, I mean, our Case IH equipment that helped us get that. There's so many great things that I don't think I would never want to touch. And people are going to argue that because it's just like anything.
Oh yeah.
People say, in football, no, artificial turf games are better than natural grass games. Well, some people are going to like the tacky, some people are going to like the thing, but I think we got exactly what we want. When I give the request back to the team next year, it's going to be exactly what you gave me last year. That's what we want again, because it was perfect. But I mean, we can always improve our fan experience. I think from that side, we've got a few other ideas in mind on how we can improve it. I think we still need something to do on the Saturday.
Mhm.
We have people move in on the Wednesday prior, which is
Mhm.
crazy. And they'll watch our regular Friday night program. Saturday, we got to do something with them, maybe a concert. And then Sunday, we have the micro sprint nationals, and then Monday, Tuesday race. So I think that could all work out. But no, we were quite happy with things. I think just keep making the grounds better. We're still improving some of the parking areas and that. We were
Mhm.
thrashing to get that done in time, but we got everybody parked and had a great deal.
Well, I just can only tell you from what the product that I watched and from what Graydon experienced and Graydon obviously wishes he could be here, but he had nothing but kind and amazing things to say about the experience and wanted to thank you and the entire team at Ohsweken Speedway for what you guys did and what you guys put on, because it was nothing like he had experienced before. And he even said that the fireworks, the GP3R were something. He said you guys gave him a run for their money. So that's got to feel good. And obviously, like I said, we here at the podcast are so grateful for everything that you and Adam and Greg and the entire team. I mean, for doing just giveaways with Graydon at the racetrack, him getting to go up into the booth was something that he long wanted to be able to do. And, for all the support that you've given us, being a partner of our podcast for this last year, and then a lot giving us a platform, myself a platform to talk about the NASCAR Pinty Series on G-Force has been one of the biggest thrills for me, because I absolutely love it, and it's helping me learn and continue to grow my own skills and trying to become an announcer at some point. And I think that what you've got and what racing is in Ontario, I mean, we've got something really special here, not just racing Ontario, but racing in Canada. And I just want to thank you from all of us here at the podcast for all you've done for us and continue to do, because it's really, really appreciated.
No problem. I mean, hey, we're just race fans who happen to have microphones and some technical knowledge. We've met some great people. Spencer Mullen's been amazing for us
Best
to
guy out there.
pull up. He's a genius and makes us all look great. I mean, we just continue to meet great people along the way. I mean, Abby Solomon, our new drone pilot, has upped our game once again, and
lots of conversations about how amazing.
I mean, and those are just you people meet by chance in life, and you realize, hey, this is a good one, and we kind of hang on to them. Somehow I kept on to Adam Ross for 25 years. When we met him, I should have dropped him by the roadside, but everybody else we brought along, and I mean, even a guy like Greg Callan is so multifaceted. He does so much stuff behind the scenes, from the graphic stuff, or even I got it right here in front of me. Any of the printed stuff you'll see. I mean, like Graydon was asking me who does all this stuff. Greg handles all that for us. I mean, it's just been really good. But I think you guys are on the right path. I mean, there's nobody really pushing the series as much as there should be. It definitely needs more media. That's why we figured we'd get behind you guys right off the bat, because it made sense. You're the one out there talking about it. I think the other thing is you got to realize, Adam and I, we've been at this since 1996. I mean, it's a long time.
I was in grade one. In grade one.
Yeah. So there, we're going on 30 years now. And, I think at the end of the day, we've just hung in long enough that we got to where we were. And, we're lucky this year that we're in a lot of places. People say we're the hardest working guys out there because we have been flying from one race to the next. But I mean, it's been good. Adam and I were like brothers. We fight some days and we love each other and we lift each other up other days. And, being out on the road's probably been the best therapy for me and him, or him and I should say. My kids will get me because I always get them with that one in the grammar world. But I think for him and I, just to go out and not to have to play different roles where I'm having to work with Spencer to get everything set up. He's having to get rosters together.
Yeah.
We just got to go and hang out and have a good time and experience some of the country. And it's just been good. that's been fun. And we really tried not to get on each other's nerves this year, because the end of last year, we really had to kill each other. And I'm a big music buff. So I was looking at the Beatles and Eagles. I'm like, you guys are on top of the world. You're selling everywhere. How do you break up? And I'm like, that was us last year, G-Force. I was ready to kill them. I'm like, I don't care if you ever do another race again. But we've learned to lift each other up and get along. And it's been good. But just like any brotherhood, you're going to have some 6 months you're not going to like each other. And the other times you will.
We've kind of, it's funny because we look at it, the more and more that Graydon and I kind of interact, I find we're very similar to both you and Adam. It's funny how that kind of happens, but again, it's the same thing. You get lucky with who you find and who you interact with. And, one of the coolest things about this is that I wasn't able to make Ohsweken, but yet we still went out and went to a racetrack. And we both, at the end of the day, were both still so excited, despite not being able. He didn't get to see APC. I didn't get to see Ohsweken. We both came together and we were just ecstatic, and just like we're both living that same kind of that life. And he said it. He said it very clear about Ohsweken. He said it was the best weekend of his life, and so I think we're continuing to try and grow here and taking the role model that you guys have kind of set for us, because I think the goofing off and stuff like that is that's what makes you guys so much fun to watch and listen to. And like I said, we're so appreciative that you took the time after such a busy week. But I want to give you an opportunity to talk about what else you have coming to Ohsweken Speedway. And before you get to that, talk about your new buddy, Brent, our buddy, because we got to meet him. Brent doing your social media. What a great guy. And we're so happy that he's found a little home with you guys.
Yeah, so Tommy Googe brought us Brent when Tommy got busy. And Brent's been a great addition, another one who's really caught on. I saw a lot of his stuff from this week. He's venturing out of the booth now. He's doing little videos, and it's awesome. I mean, and that's where it is. We need new creative people to express themselves and push the sport forward with more and more things. And I think that's where a guy like Abby comes in. Abby's a chef who runs an Airbnb. He does real estate videos for houses. He doesn't even go to races. We dragged him into this, and we said, yeah, man, can I do this? So all this stuff he's doing, he's just learning. He's a new race fan himself. He'd been to a drift car once or twice before. So he's never been to an oval track race. He'd never seen a sprint car race. So that, just think how good he's going to get after he puts in 6 months of being there, And I think the same thing goes for Brent. Once he's put in a season or two, none of us got to where we were the first year out. So I think that's been great. And Brent's been a great addition. And to be able to, I know Adam showed him around the Indy a bit, and to be able to open doors for that and show you guys, hey, here's how you can get in. Here's what you can do. It's great. And I think, don't be afraid. My advice to you guys is don't be afraid to push the envelope, and don't ever take no, or don't ever let anybody tell you that's not the way you do it. Because for 25 years, Adam and I have been doing stuff different than anybody else. And not to say that we got rich and famous off it, but we've always done good for the sport and try to do something new and fresh and force someone to tell us no. Like Spencer, we drive him crazy because we're dreamers. And well, why can't we beam a signal from here to there through the car over the roof? And Spencer's like, it just can't happen. And I'm like, well, what? Show me, prove to me it can. So we push those envelopes. But back to the other thing about Adam and I, like you said, if it wasn't for racing, we wouldn't be friends at all. He has totally different interests than me. He spends his social time totally different ways than I do. He grew up at Flamborough. I grew up at Merrittville. We're totally opposites, but racing has brought us together in a brothership, kinship way that no other sport probably could.
Nope. It's exactly the same for us. Exactly the same.
And we've been good for each other. I realized early on that Adam and I, we can really work off each other. And back to clowning around, that's the other thing, is don't take it so seriously. It's funny because I hear some young announcers coming up, and the biggest advice I got would have been from my brother-in-law back at my mother-in-law's party 25 years ago. Todd said to me, just be the Howard Stern of the local tracks. Just tell it like it is. Be yourself, and people will love you for it. And I've kind of always just taken that. So if you're in the booth, don't be all stuffy. One of my favorite things to do to a new young announcer is he'll come and say, hey, Clinton, welcome to Merrittville Speedway. And I'm like, yeah, man, my guts are aching. I ate way too many chicken fingers. And they're just like, what are you doing? Like, they're trying to be all pro. And just like, come on, man, we're just having fun here.
Yeah. Yeah.
If, just especially you, when you're announcing there, like, you got your shot, just pretend you're one of the guys. Like, Adam and I, we just feel like we're one of the guys sitting in the bleachers. We just happen to have a microphone. Like, hey, did you see that? That guy just spun him out. And we're just have fun with it.
It was Charlie at Peterborough Speedway made me feel like I was his partner, and that was the coolest thing. And that's what me and Graydon do. Is it's the same thing. Like, you guys just, when you guys are in the booth together, it's just two friends calling a race together, and that's what I want to listen to, right? You don't want to have agendas and anything like that, but
just remember, we've put in our 10,000 hours.
Yes,
right. We've done it a long, long time, you know, and for the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever that means, just. We're fortunate enough to be able to do it. And Adam's attitude this year is we're just going to accept every job that's thrown our way, and we'll work our asses off. And then in December, we can look back and decide what we liked doing and what we didn't want to do. And so we've kind of had that philosophy for the year. It's been good. Season flies by, but you mentioned you're going to give me a minute to talk about quickly Ohsweken. So
yes,
we have 5 events to go as of today. So this weekend we have no crate sprints, but the 360s, the late models, mini stock and street stock grants, our big mini stock race, the Art Hill Memorial, 42 laps and $2,000 to win, which is exciting this week. Then we just have a few weeks left. We get back into it, and then our Canadian Sprint Car Nationals. So if you like the camping and like the atmosphere we had, come on out. It'll be 2 nights of that, Friday and Saturday. Exact dates: Friday, September 16th, Saturday, September 17th, and you can get all the information at ohswekenspeedway.ca. But things went really good. We're super happy. I think what a great way to close off the season. We're definitely going to go out on a high, and I think it showed the Speedway very well.
I agree, and I tell you, I've already said to Graydon that I'm going next year. So it is exactly what we wanted. Clinton Geoffrey joining us on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. Make sure you follow G-Force TV and subscribe for amazing racing action. Of course, check him and Adam out every Tuesday night. It is Tuesday night, right? Every Tuesday night, at 8:00 for a lot of fun, because they always Race Rivals Race Chat. I don't know about rivals, but they're definitely fun, and they're definitely they do have their moments when they go back and forth, which I really love, because it always makes it entertaining. But Clinton, thank you so much, and we'll definitely have you back on in the next racing season. Thanks for having us. Yeah, don't forget, lots of APC and Knights of Thunder events still coming up. Our partners have been great. Fast Eddie have come on board. Quick, and NTN just been awesome to have all these people jump on board and provide all this racing for free. I think we're doing a great job bringing it some great coverage. Not everybody can go to the races every night, but hopefully you can watch every night. You can't be there. Again, it comes down to immersion. If you watch, you will show up. If you know who the players are, you're going to be interested. So we need to break down that old school mentality that, giving the race away for free is a problem. Look at all the series. I'm just going to leave you in closing. Look at all the series that are live streaming the races. Okay. APC, Quick Super Stocks, Delaware Speedway, Ohsweken Speedway, Knights of Thunder, Action Sprint Tour. All of those are live. All of those have the best car counts in the province. All of those have the best attendance in the province. Streaming's not killing it, people. It's building it. Woo-hoo. Absolutely. The more the merrier. The more the merrier. Thanks, Clinton Geoffrey. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. We will catch you all next week.